And now, it's BomerLife, lifestyle discussion designed to make your life more engaging, meaningful, and complete. Celebrating the baby boomer generation, this is BomerLife on CIL 650.
I don't care too much for money. Money can buy me love.
And welcome to BomerLife on CIL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton. So are you where you want to be financially? A well-thought-out plan for your financial future is an integral part of building the life that you want for both yourself and for your family. So on BomerLife today, we're talking about your financial future with JimDoyle, Senior Financial Consultant with Investors Group Financial Services, Inc. And today, we're talking about a few things that could be keeping baby boomers from planning ahead. We're going to address the value of advice, and I mean we're going beyond investment selection. We'll also be exploring the client discovery process, and we'll address some key retirement planning challenges that you should be aware of. Also, pitfalls that could prevent you from fulfilling your retirement goals. So first, let me say welcome, Jim. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Joanne. The more we know about the clients we work with, the better our chances of building lasting relationships. We absolutely need to make client discovery an ongoing process.
Well, this is a first for me and maybe for some of our listeners, but what does client discovery mean and what does it mean to you?
This is really important for us. Client discovery allows both of us to learn about each other. It's about having an in-depth set of conversations about your goals and objectives, and that starts the process. We need to understand your unique risk tolerance. And through the discovery process, we learn about your changing circumstances and expectations. Ultimately, the discovery process teaches us about you, what's important to you, and what's going on in your world.
I don't always see this as being an easy conversation. I don't imagine it's easy to get clients to really open up and share that type of information.
Yeah. For newer relationships, sometimes people can be a little reluctant to share at first. Like anything, where you may be sharing things that really matter to you or tapping into emotions, it's powerful stuff to be understood.
Well, no matter how many times we say this, Jim, money and the decisions that sometimes need to be made around it can be very emotional information.
So many things influence how we feel financially, how we feel about the future, even what others we care about are going through in their lives. Our discovery process can deepen client relationships. Consider the person who might feel they're not in control of his or her financial situation. How might they feel if we had a chance to say something like, "What if I could show you a way to change the way that you think?"
Sometimes just talking about something helps provide relief. What's another way, Jim, that you can use your discovery process to deepen your client relationships?
Each client meeting can be an opportunity for discovery. It's as simple as varying the questions we ask.
So could you actually give us an example of why you feel it matters?
I'd be happy to. One question I love to ask, who do you rely on for advice? Things change. Family relationships change. They don't always stay the same. A few years ago, we had a client who had 2 sons. She had always spoken with pride about how accomplished her boys were, but something happened to change in that relationship a year ago, and she is reluctant now to turn to that son if she ever needs help. When we met and she shared her story with me, I could tell she was sharing something that was important to her.
Well, sounds emotional as well, and I doubt that she might have offered that up if you hadn't built trust into that relationship. I have a sense that she understood why sharing her feelings about this estranged relationship with her son might be important to how you advised her.
This client is very healthy and always has been, but health for older folks can change very quickly, so it's important to have these conversations. Who does she want to help her as she ages? If her health changes, can she trust that they're going to be doing right by her? Over the years, I've seen many of the clients I work with age with grace, but physical and mental change happens to most of us, and some have shared that as they get older, they feel less capable than they used to.
I think a lot of us can relate to what you're saying here, Jim.
The challenge is for us to engage clients so that they can articulate their goals and fears. I'm sure a lot of advisors do this, but by asking questions, we give them the opportunity to tell us what's going on in their minds. Clients often do not articulate their fears or worries well. If I don't know you well, chances are I could miss recognizing when you're holding back and then miss the opportunity to get you to open up when necessary.
Well, I think this is what we call the client discovery process.
Wonderful. Going through the discovery process with clients requires keeping a keen ear on the story being told and offering an acknowledgement of the facts without jumping to conclusions or offering a preemptive solution.
Well, Jim, I sense it could be really challenging for most people to express their money dreams and fears, let alone articulate them with clarity. Like, really, it comes down to a lack of experience when it comes to articulating your personal goals. And I think a lot of people run into challenges here, and that's really where someone like you could step in and help.
I think where I can really help is by being a neutral third party who can listen to your concerns and help you make decisions about how to use your money. Clients I work with often share that one of the hardest things they've ever had to learn was how to balance saving for the future and enjoying life today.
So what you're saying here definitely resonates. You need to be on the same page as your advisor, speaking the same language and understanding the same challenges.
Two of the toughest things I think people will have to face when working with a financial planner are tracking their expenses and possibly working from a budget.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about here. The idea of living within a budget, well, I'd rather stick pins in my eyes. No one wants to live within a budget. So what's the other half of this equation?
Well, the second one, it's somewhat uncomfortable for people. It's firing your advisor if that relationship isn't giving you everything you want and expect. And it can be hard if you've become friends with your advisor and either you see them socially or you don't want to hurt their feelings.
It's an awkward spot to be in. Breaking up is hard to do, and you've got a lot of time and effort already invested in that relationship.
A few years ago, I had a client move to Quebec. We'd worked together for a good number of years, and he wanted to know if I would continue to look after his accounts. I explained to him I thought he might be better served by a local consultant, as I didn't go to Quebec too often, and I think I might be a bit old-fashioned, but I still really value face-to-face meetings from time to time. He told me he was dreading the idea of breaking in a new advisor.
Well, I've actually been in this position before, Jim, with an out-of-town advisor, and we came to the conclusion that there's always something like Skype or FaceTime, but how did it work out for your client?
Well, we agreed to keep working with him for a year while he got acclimated to his new surroundings, and then we could revisit things. As agreed, I had a colleague from Quebec who lived close to where he lived, and I asked if he might drop in and introduce himself. They hit it off fabulously, and we were able to facilitate the transfer into good hands.
So what do you feel are the primary reasons why investors leave their advisors?
I'd have to say it comes down to communication, or the lack of it. But that's only part of it. Performance is probably among the top 3 reasons people leave, especially if people feel their advisor was not proactive with good ideas and advice. Failing to communicate advisor value can cause attrition, and it shows up in a couple of ways.
Well, I'm actually surprised you said communication because I thought you would say money, just basically not earning enough.
It's about expectations. Clients often leave when they don't want to pay fees because they don't understand what they're paying for, or when they want to avoid all risk and put their money in the bank. I'm inclined to believe if clients looking at these choices, then chances are I haven't done my job as an advisor.
Well, talking about your expectations seems like a great place to start with your advisors, but when it comes to performance, you wouldn't fire your advisor after just a couple of months if performance expectations weren't met, would you?
Well, in some circumstances you might. But I do think if you're judging performance only, clients need to give an advisor time to see them through both good and bad markets to see if their investment strategies work.
Well, you can't plant a seed and expect a tree to grow by tomorrow, right? Performance is definitely high on the list for most of us, and it's one of the things that we can actually measure, so it's easy for us to follow. What other things would you say about your advisor relationship that could be a warning sign?
One I hear of lots of is if you don't get timely responses from your advisor, or they're difficult to get a hold of. In today's environment, the next is inexplicable, okay, is if you ask questions about fees and your advisor is not willing or is not able to explain them clearly and in writing. The last one is a personal thing, but it's absolutely okay to acknowledge. Something that explains their expectations of what they're providing and how they're going to provide it, as well as what they should expect from you. If any of these are lacking, it might be a time to ask a few more questions.
Well, I think you actually mentioned earlier that many investors, both young and old, may not be good at clearly articulating what they want. So how do you address that? Maybe they should just give you a phone call.
Well, I think that's a great idea. You can learn a lot asking somebody about what the future looks like for them, say in 3 years. Determining and meeting clients' expectations are key to making a client relationship work as a partnership. We spend a lot of time up front, and then we request feedback about client expectations on an ongoing basis.
Well, I'd have to agree that if you're paying someone to do something for you, it's got to be incredibly frustrating to not have good communication. Many people feel numbers are important when it comes to money and investments.
Until you've worked with a planner, you honestly can't know what you want. Okay? It's hard to know what to expect. We get a lot of referrals from existing clients who've had great experiences with us, but we caution prospective clients what worked for them may not work or fit their situation. Based on my long experience, we know certain things are likely to work well, but we ask permission to discover together what you think you will like and what you won't.
Do you hear that, boomers? Another reminder that life is a journey, and like any successful journey, should always include good planning, with good communication, of course. You're listening to Boomer Life on CL650. I'm Joanne Sutton. Today we're speaking with JimDoyle, Senior Financial Consultant with Investors Group. Are you concerned your investments might not be doing everything they need to do for you or for your family? To learn how JimDoyle can help with your financial situation, simple as this. Give him a phone call, 604-682-5431. Or you can email Jim at jim.doyle@investorsgroup.com. Jim has something to say about how some of the market volatility surrounding the recent Brexit vote has shone a light on investment habits that could be steering us in the wrong direction and might be worthy of a fresh look. That's all next on Boomer Life on CL650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL650.